Hi again, my name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller, and today I'm going to be doing another one of my brand research projects. I chose Kellytoy this time, but I do not want to do Squishmallows. I might do another video on them another time, but I wanted to focus on just the regular Kellytoy plush, and I tried to stick with plush that was used and had solds that were over $30, and I think the largest one is like $400. But I wanted to take you step by step on how I'm doing this. That way you can do it for yourself also. So let me go ahead and flip to the correct screens. All right, so this is where I start. I'll type in Kellytoy and hit search. And it pulls this up. And what do you see? Tons of Squishmallow. So in order to break your search down to only things that you want, so I do not want Squishmallow, you go in here and you type minus Squishmallow. And then hit enter again. But it's still pulling up stuff because Squishmallows. So then I go in and I type in minus Squishmallows. Now if they don't use that word or they misspell that word, which I saw quite a bit of that, they're still going to show up. And I'm still seeing some. But let's go ahead and go into here. And let's change it to highest first. And then let's go to solds. So this is where we're going to start. And I have already picked some. And I'm actually going to start with one of my own things that recently sold that was Kellytoy, that was over $30, so that I can show you a few more steps. So this is how I do this part of it. And most of these are not going to be Squishmallow at this point. Now this is my item that sold. It was a green pumpkin plush. I think it was featured in last night's What Sold. It sold for $33. Now, if this wasn't my item, because actually this was kind of confusing because it shows here that it sold for this $46.45, but I know for a fact it didn't. So what I do is I come out here to Terapeak. I've got it opened at a far end. And if I type in Kellytoy green pumpkin, it pulls up all of this. So once again, I need to go in here and go minus Squishmallow. I love Terapeak because it not only tells you the price that things are actually selling for, especially if all you're seeing in solds are offers with the line through it. So now it's pulled up a few more things, but you can see the two pumpkins that have sold in the last year, which is funny because it looks like they both sold August 7th. I wonder if it's the same person. I'm not going to go that far into depth. But this one is mine. Now, if you really wanted to see, did it really sell at that price, which is what I've done for most of these, well, yeah, for all of these, then you could go to my store, which I've opened up a screen already. This is me. Type in green pumpkin, and if I had positive feedback, you'd know for sure it sold. I actually just sold it this week, so it hasn't had enough time. And that may be the issue with some of these others that I'm going to show you. There hasn't been enough time for feedback to be left. But personally, probably 1 in 5 purchases do I ever get feedback anyway. But I could go here, type in green pumpkin, hit this, and it's not going to show anything. But the next step that I do is I go into this person's store, me, view seller's store, and then type in green pumpkin. All right. And if it's back in the store, you know it didn't follow through. I've got a bucket. Anybody want a Halloween bucket? So I know probably it sold for that amount and that it's a legit, but you just don't know. So on each of my listings, I'm going to show you what it actually sold for. And if it had positive feedback, I'll let you know. And if there was no feedback, we have to take it as a potential. But on each one of those, I also went into their store to make sure it hadn't been relisted. So that's the best I can do as far as being as thorough as I can. All right, so let's go back here and we'll go to the first. Oh, that is me. So I sold this for $33. So definitely keep your eyes out, especially right now because Halloween's about to be here. Start looking for your Halloween stuff and getting it listed. You're going to notice in a lot of these, they're large plush. But each of these, you know, probably a lot of these could be scrunched down into a large priority box. But this was a Kellytoy big dark brown, huge, large stuffed plush. Lots of words there. 30 inches though. It sold for $30 and they did already receive positive feedback. Just another quick lesson on how I do my listings. The first 5 words should be your most important. Brand, what it is, size maybe, color maybe, but usually I would have gone Kellytoy Bear Plush 30-inch brown and then filled in the rest. Next item is this Kellytoy green Dinosaur Triceratops. Again, 20 inches tall. It sold for $32.19. I did not find feedback left for it, but again, it was not relisted in their store either. This was a Jim Henson Dinosaur Train Pterodactyl 13-inch. I'm assuming maybe 13 inches tall, but that could have been the wingspan. Not quite sure. Anytime you see dinosaurs that look like this, little figures, anything from that series, they almost always have Jim Henson on them somewhere. Those are definitely things to be checking out. I sell quite a few of those dinosaurs and the train sets for big bucks. But it sold for $35. This was a Kellytoy Lovey. I find a lot of Kellytoy Loveys and small plush. Most of them are my bread and butter, but here was an example of a Lovey. I've talked about this before. I like to definitely check comps when I find Loveys that have these knotted corners. But this one sold for $39.99, and again, there was no feedback left yet. But a lot of times it could just be that it's recently sold, because these are only sold for the last 90 days. I didn't specify that at the beginning. This was a large 42-inch Caterpillar Plush Rainbow. You can see a better picture here. I think because I have this thing right here, it's not letting me click on the pictures, but I wanted to make sure that I put this in all of my listings. Maybe next time I'll have to figure out another way. It sold for $44.99. No feedback left yet. This is Kellytoy Lamb Plush 9-inch. It says off-white ivory. It did have the crinkle ears, which means there's like this crinkly sound that comes in the ears. It sold for $35 and the buyer did leave positive feedback. These were Cub Scout Plush Bear, Tiger, and Wolf. I've had, I think, the Wolf before. I think I got it in my online estate sale. But this is a set of 3. They sold for $30 and the buyer left feedback already. This is Spyro. You can tell a lot of these are in the $30 range, but it does go up quite a bit. This is Spyro, the dragon, 7-inch from Universal Studios. It did have a tear at the top of its ear. I tried to find other Spyros and I didn't see any. It sold for $39.99 and there was positive feedback. You'll notice a lot of these are characters from TV series. I talk about that quite often, especially ones that are no longer running. They become much harder to find. I have quite a few examples of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends by Cartoon Network. This is Eduardo. I loved that show. It was weird though. He sold for $50 and the buyer has left positive feedback. I've referred to this type of fabric as either waffle weave or thermal weave. Anytime you see plush that's got this type of material, definitely check the comps. I think Eden put some out and somebody else. Can't remember, but definitely Eden. This was a bunny rabbit. It was blue, 14-inch. It sold for $49.99, but there was no feedback. Now there were a lot of chums. These are these large pillow plush. Not kind of similar to the Pillow Pets, but it was by Kellytoy. This one was a turtle. I saw dogs and just cats and just all kinds of animals. Most of them are like jumbo large size. I just picked this one as an example. The turtle sold for $57.95, but no feedback was left. This is orange, I almost said Kellytoy. Obviously, all of these are Kellytoy. An orange tiger stripe cat, 16 inches. It sold for $30. No feedback left. And then there were a lot of Sonic and Tails plush. Lots of Sonic. This one is Miles the Fox from 2009. He sold for $55. Again, no feedback was left yet. This is Crash Bandicoot. A lot of video game stuff. 16-inch plush. He sold for $54.99. No feedback. Here's another Pillow Chums. This was a large cow or bull with horns. I think this one is shown folded up, but then they do fold out also. It sold for $48.39. This was a large Dalmatian dog plush. I'm assuming they've probably measured height and length, 28-38. It sold for $49.99. No feedback. This is by Justice also, so it was specifically released for Justice. This is a pink plush fox, 36 inches long. I saw quite a few of them have sold. This one sold for $65 and positive feedback was left. Again, another cartoon series that I saw quite a few solds. This is Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. This is Fredburger, 8 inches only tall. He sold for $170 and positive feedback was left. This is an alien plush. Now, I've shown several plush that I've sold in the past year since I've started doing these videos. Aliens do really well, and it doesn't even have to only be Kellytoy. They've put New Mexico. Not new, because it is used. I tried to only pick used things. These are more likely that we're going to find at yard sales. This one was 24 inches tall. It sold for $85, but no feedback was left. Now this again is another one from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. This is Cheese. It sold for $199.99 and positive feedback was left. And this is another Grimm's Adventure. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. This was Grimm. 14 inches tall. It sold for $224.95, but no feedback was left. But again, I went into every one of these stores to make sure it hadn't been relisted. I also went on Terapeak to make sure I didn't see another subsequent sale that showed that maybe it had been relisted and then sold. I didn't find them, but could it have happened? Maybe. Now there were a lot of Luigi. This is a 9-inch one. There were 12-inch ones and there were 21-inch plush. Lots of them have sold. This, I did pick the highest selling priced one, and I included it because they did get positive feedback on this. It sold for $299.95. I am definitely going to have to keep my eye out for Luigi. Some of the Mario sold too, but nowhere near this price. And then this is, again, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. This is Mac. It says he has his tag, but they did list him as used. And he sold for $499.99. Again, I did not see any positive feedback left. This is Sonic the Hedgehog plush. There were lots of Sonics, but this supposedly was like a sample prototype 32-inch plush from 2009. It sold for $400, and the buyer did leave positive feedback, but the seller also down here put all the reasons why this is a prototype. So I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but that's what he left. And so I wanted to show you a few more things. If you want to just see in general, even the comps that are older than 90 days, you just need to go into Terapeak. Again, it's for 1 year. I typed in here Kellytoy minus Squishmallow, and then when you hit search, you can still go through here. It's showing average sale price for Kellytoy that's not Squishmallow is actually $18.64. It did range from 1 penny up to $2,000.69. The average shipping is $7.52. 32% of the listings included free shipping. Here's the total sales for the last year. And then if you go down here, here's the one that sold for $2,069. I think I've already looked at the screen. When you pull it up, it might not be by the highest price. All you have to do here is click on this arrow for average sold price, and it'll put it in order for you. So $2,069, but it was back in March of 2022. Did they get paid? I do not know. But it's just a good way to familiarize yourself. Here's Mario lots. You can tell it sold twice unless they had 2 listings, not sure. Here was my Mac. These are called Hug Me's. They're actually, I think, a part of the Squishmallow, but you can see it sold for $499. But it's just showing, you know, here's a reserved auction for somebody. Giant Smurf, $2.99. Again, I can't confirm if there was positive feedback left for these because they are over 90 days. But it gives you a good idea. You can do this with any brand, any type of item that you want to list. Terapeak is very good for checking comps, not just your solds, at least for the last year. You know, if it's very rare, you might not find anything, and that's when worth point might be worth having. But I sell plush, so there's very few items that I come across that I would need a worth point subscription for at this point. I'm not going to say never, but right now, no. So just familiarize yourself with Terapeak. It's a wonderful tool for us, and it's free. You can see lots of Sonic, lots of Luigi. You know, here, $198, $180, $180. I did check all of these that are purplish right here. and none of them had positive feedback. So I wasn't going to use it. And I showed you the example of the Luigi that sold that had positive feedback. But you can tell here just a lot. Wario, Squishmallow. And then even though it doesn't look like this, you could keep going pages and pages and pages. I hope this was useful for you. I'm going to pick another brand here real soon. I said I was going to do Aurora, but I think because I had the sale that I could include, so I could show you a little bit more about how I do my research, I just decided to go with Kellytoy. Plus I could teach you about the minus to get a better, thorough, complete search for the items you're looking for. So let's all get to work. I've got tons to do. I got to run to the post office and start taking pictures. Bye.